Well, it's good to see everybody. This is March, and it's a great time of year. We are looking to take our 0-0 record right now, like everybody, and take part in March Madness. And that's the great beauty of this month and these events in conference tournament play and postseason play. We've finished the other seasons, from the preseason to the non-conference season to the regular season of conference play, and now this is the postseason. So we are excited about playing and excited about improving, and want to go down to Fort Worth and stay as long as we can.
I knew you were going to say that about 0-0, because every coach says that. But when you're, the situation that you guys are in, how welcoming is March when you have everything left out there?
Well, I think it's I gave our guys a history lesson the other day about how March Madness has really came to be, and from how regular season champions just went. And then there was a time where only one team per league went to the NCAA tournament. And then the NIT was, in some ways, the more prominent tournament. In fact, some teams chose to go to the NIT rather than the NCAA. We were in the practice gym the other day and showed the banners of the NIT champions, and I was a part of one in 2001. I had one player come after me after I said all this and said, "Coach, what is the NIT?" He had no idea. So we talked about the entire history of what March is all about and how rarely the number one seed wins in conference tournaments, in the NCAA tournaments. There's 4 number one seeds. So just talked about the real excitement and why this is one of the great sporting events in the world and why that is. And we're a part of it. Even though our regular season, of course, is not with a gaudy record in the right direction, we get an opportunity to take part in March Madness. And I gave them also instances from my own playing career to times in coaching where we were able to go on a run that sometimes was a little bit unforeseen, and what a great thrill that is. So let's do everything we can to take part of that.
Do you see potential with these guys? I mean, I'm not saying whatever. Do you see chances for you guys, given putting everything else in the past?
I just know that in March there are great examples of teams that have, if you just went with the chalk, you wouldn't have some of the greatest stories in history. And so we will not, I told our team, we're not better than anybody, but we just have to be better that one night. And that's what March Madness is all about.
How do you feel about the health-ish of your team? I know you've battled some injuries. You've changed up your starting lineup quite a bit towards the end of the stretch. Do you feel like you have a healthier team going down to Fort Worth?
I feel like because of the bye that we didn't play yesterday like the rest of the league, we've been given an opportunity to get more healthy. What that means in extra bodies than what we've had, we'll still determine here this week.
Do you like the production you got from some of the guys that you haven't really gotten to see much minutes from down the stretch of the season? Do you feel like that is going to pay dividends, maybe not this week, but next season perhaps?
Well, I'm proud of the effort that guys have put forward. I mean, you look at the different cases of what guys have been asked to do, from what they were asked to do earlier in the season, from Josiah McWright, who played more minutes at South Florida than he did probably in the first 10 games combined. So you look at that as a growing point. A guy like Ari Seals, who's came here not on scholarship and is playing 20 minutes a game over the last 3 games and doing a nice job of the things that we're asking him to do, from defending and rebounding and just trying to make other people better. So those types of things we're just going to rally around. There's things that we're trying to build in this program going further, and it's those types of things that you just want to grab a hold on and say, hey, these are things that we stand for, and we're just going to keep trying to get better at that.
You mentioned the 0-0 thing. You were talking with Kelly about it. Some of your teams at previous schools, when they were maybe at the top of the conference, I would imagine that was still the same message, was you're going into it 0-0. Is it easier, you think, to convey that message to a team that's not at the top of the league? When you have so much success during the season, I would imagine your guys are kind of hanging on to that and excited about how well they're playing. But when you're not playing well, do you feel like it's easier for those guys to maybe take that message, if that makes sense?
So I think about the different types of teams. when I was at the University of Miami, we came in at the number 1 seed one year. We won the regular season, and we already knew we were going to the NCAA tournament. Now it was about trying to win an ACC tournament championship and trying to improve your seed. So there's a little bit different motivation that way when you're in a one-bid league, and even though you take first place or second place, there's still very much the understanding that we've got to win this tournament, go to the big dance. So there's all different types of mindsets. We've talked all year about just controlling what we can control. We get to do this. No one's making us do this. We get the opportunity to play college basketball, and let's just keep trying to focus on those things that we can get better at. But there is, I think, what makes March Madness great is the underdog story. And I said, guys, let's one game at a time. Let's try to do the most improbable underdog story there is. Because obviously, if you look at our record and you look at games we've played in, nobody would predict anything. But let's just try to play good basketball on Thursday and see what happens.
You mentioned the way the schedule worked out. When the schedule came out and you saw the break between the end of the regular season, the start of the conference tournament, did you like it as much as maybe you like it now? If you have momentum, you may not want that break, but it seems that's obviously a little unusual. You guys were the only ones with that.
It was unusual, and I've had that before, and I always just, again, look at, I have nothing to do with that. I'm not going to get bent out of shape either way. We're going to use whatever it is to an advantage. We were able to do a lot of skill work. We were able to give guys rest that needed rest. We were able to focus on us and focus on some different things. We didn't know until last night on who we were going to play just because of the way the whole schedule worked out. So just working on some different wrinkles that we might be able to implement for this week, but really don't get too concerned about the schedule. I have no control over it.
Coach, obviously no way you could have or anybody foreseen this type of season. What were some of the factors that led to this record?
Well, I think that you just look over the course of a season, and again, if you could predict things, we'd all be. It was like Back to the Future 3 when Biff got the magazine, right? You watch that movie? Yeah. So we don't have that, but obviously we knew that we had certain limitations coming into the season, and we try to, as every team, maximize your strengths and minimize your weaknesses. Injury bug and other factors, we're down in numbers, but we're only going to control what we can control, Chris, and that's always going to be the message, whether we're at if our records are reversed or not. And we just look at how we can get better each day and see what's in front of us that day and try to attack it the best we can.
I know you've complimented the TU fans and the support through this season, too.
Absolutely, and that has been so encouraging and so appreciative of our fans. Just looked at our pure numbers from this year to the year before. We're up 36% in our overall attendance per game on the season, and it's something big for us. It's big in the moment. It's big in showing our future recruits the type of passion that our fan base has, our community has for TU men's basketball, and it's also a real rallying cry of knowing that, hey, when this thing starts to turn, when we start to play a whole lot better basketball, what type of environment we can have here again.
Finally, what do you tell the fans? What do you tell yourself? What gives you hope for next season?
Well, we're still going to be very focused on this season right here. I mean, we've got this event coming up this weekend, but we're about earning something. We would absolutely have it no other way. We know that we're not going to be given anything. This is about a blue-collar mentality of rolling up our sleeves and working every day. We've got a lot to do in recruiting. We've got a lot to do in our infrastructure. We've got a lot to do in continuing to improve our game day experience. Like there is no standing still. You either get better or you get worse. And we are absolutely motivated to get better.
Coach, obviously no coach has ever seen the perfect 40 minutes, but you've had a team that's had 14, 16-point lead at halftime at Oregon State. I think a 14-point lead at halftime, at Wichita State. Games where 30 minutes in, you're still right in there in the fight. You're still looking for that full 40 minutes from your team, and wouldn't it be great to have it here?
Yeah, it's a continuous search throughout a career, really, right? Because you aim for perfection, and you just want to get as close as you can to it. I've never had a zero turnover game as a coach or a player. We've had some where it's 2 or 3, but we're going to keep searching for it. And I think for this team, what we've had is we've had moments of great prosperity. I mean, we were down at South Florida, came back, and then it's that moment where you've got to just push through that next barrier is what's been hard for us, whether we've had a lead or we're coming back from a deficit. But I think that there is an opportunity as an underdog to you play with a clear mind, you play with a freedom of hey, we're just going to give it everything we've got and see what happens. The pressure's on the opponent in that respect. But we've talked often about, hey, we did it for 25 minutes. We got to squeeze out another 10, 15 minutes and put together our best game. There's no doubt we're searching for that.
And the postseason, when you flip that page, is like nothing else. I mean, it's a totally different kind of dynamic in that, if you play an early game and you win, it's a great feeling because you're watching the others fight to get where you are. You're going to play the last game on Thursday. But there's something about tournament play, whether it's this tournament, NCAA, NIT, whatever. There's something about it that's different, isn't there?
Oh, it's the best. I mean, it's again, it's the madness. I say it all the time. Like we'll do something, and it's part of our schedule. But in the American Conference, we're starting the conference tournament after many have already ended. So with 362 teams in Division I basketball, now some aren't eligible for the tournament, so you're looking in the high 350s. Many of them are already finished. So we're already a part of it where that number is reducing. And then if you get through conference tournament play, and now you're playing into the postseason, there's very few teams playing. And it's a neat thing. It's something that we talk to our teams over previous years all the time about just how special it is to be to still be playing, because this is something we love to do, something we love to keep pursuing, and to be one of the few still doing it is really special.
Kelly, you going? Okay. No, I'll go. You're not Joe Lenardi, but could you give us? We were talking about it in here before you came in about this league, how many bids it could get. Obviously, we hope you're one of them. Do you have an idea, or would you have a guess on how many this league could or should end up getting? Houston's an obvious one, but anybody beyond that you think should sneak in there?
I look at the numbers, and of course you see Houston and Memphis at the top, and Joe Lenardi and these other people talking about those things. But I also think Houston's obviously they're out in front of everybody and the favorites to win everything, going down the road into March Madness and into the NCAA tournament. But there are some teams that you just look at the quality of teams in this league. There's so many. I've been very, very impressed going through it this first year with the depth, the talent, the age, the athleticism and size. And there's been so many competitive games throughout conference play, from Temple winning at Houston to a number of other teams taking teams right down to the wire. So I think it's going to make for an incredible conference tournament, a lot of excitement, and of course there's opportunity for a third team, if you will, to be able to cut down those nets in Fort Worth.
So you never want to be a low seed. So you're hoping you're going to play, the guys are going to play freer, free mind, loose, maybe not uptight. So because you're not, you're a low seed, not much is expected. So maybe that's advantage to you guys.
Well, we hope so. I mean, there's that possibility that you see that at times in NCAA tournament play, in conference tournament play. It's something that we try to have all the time. We want to have that mentality of playing with a clear mind, of playing aggressively, not being overcome with so much analysis and thought, of playing in an attacking mode. Now, in recent weeks, we've tried to play at a much slower tempo, trying to reduce the number of possessions in a game. But still, we want to be the aggressor. We want to be the hunters, and that's regardless of record. But in this case, for sure, we'll be the underdog in this game, and we want to be able to relish that moment and play when you've got an opportunity to take somebody out, and that's what these tournaments are all about.
Anything else? Good. All right, thank you guys.
Thank you, everybody. Good seeing you, Chris.